Do you really control your money? Or does it control you? Most people believe that they make their own financial choices, that they decide where to spend, what to buy, where to work. But what if I told you that, in reality, all of this was already programmed before you even became aware of money? The financial system was designed in such a sophisticated way that it makes you feel in control, when in fact you are just following a pre-established script. You think you are playing the money game, but in reality, you are just a piece being moved by invisible hands. Here's a fact to make you think. 80% of people live paycheck to paycheck without any real financial security. And the most absurd thing? They believe that this is normal. If you identify with this statistic, don't blame yourself. This is not a coincidence, it is by design. You grew up hearing that the key to success is to study hard, get a stable job, work hard, and save money to buy a house. That has always been the ideal model, right? But if this path is so perfect, why are most people who follow it in debt, anxious, and trapped in an endless cycle of work and bills to pay? There's something wrong with this equation. The problem is that no one has ever told you the truth. You were not raised to be rich. You were trained to be a servant of the system. From an early age, you were taught to obey rules, respect authority, and avoid risks. The fear of failure was implanted in you before you could even question it. This is part of a larger programming, a model that favors a small group of people who understand the game and exploits those who never learned the rules. You work, pay taxes, spend on consumption, and repeat this cycle until the end of your life, all while those who dominate money grow and grow. And this is where the most important question in this video arises. Do you think like a rich person or like a slave to the system? The answer to this question defines your financial destiny. If you want to continue on autopilot, just existing within the rules that were imposed on you, this video is not for you. But if you're ready to open your eyes and understand how real players think, then keep watching. Because what I'm going to tell you from now on can completely change the way you see money and, most importantly, the way it sees you. If most people are trapped in the system without realizing it, what's the difference between those who escape? What do the rich understand that most people never learned? The answer may seem simple, but it's brutally true. The rich see money as a game, while the poor see money as a burden. Think about it. If you play chess without understanding the rules, what happens? You become easy prey for your opponent. In the real world, money works the same way. Only here, the game has already started before you were even born. The board has been set, the rules have been defined, and most people enter the game with limited pieces. They play to survive, while those who master the game play to win. The problem is that no one teaches you how to play. Napoleon Hill, in his book Think and Grow Rich, studied the greatest millionaires in history and revealed a pattern. They all thought like strategists. They didn't just work for money, but they understood how money worked for them. While most people spend their lives accumulating debt and seeking security, real gamblers accumulate assets and seek control. They're not concerned with looking rich, they're focused on being rich. Now look at the other side of the coin. The thinking of the middle class and the poor has been shaped to prioritize security and avoid risk. From an early age, we're taught that a good job is the ultimate goal, that having a steady paycheck is synonymous with stability, and that debt is a part of life. This is no coincidence. This thinking has been programmed to ensure that most people never escape the state of financial servitude. Want an example? Take two people, one who thinks like a gambler and one who thinks like a pawn. The pawn works hard, earns money, and spends it all on a car loan or a house that puts him in debt for 30 years. He thinks he's investing, but in reality, he's just tying himself even more to the system. The gambler, on the other hand, uses his money to buy assets that generate income, businesses, stocks, rental properties. While one is trapped in the game of consumption, the other is building freedom. Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, puts it simply: the poor work for money, the rich make money work for them. The point is not just to earn more, but to understand how to turn money into a continuous flow of wealth. And this is where the big question arises. Are you playing the money game, or are you just being played by it? If you still believe that the path to financial freedom lies in hard work and the accumulation of goods, then you are still thinking like a pawn. But the good news is that this can change. If the difference between the rich and the poor is in the way we think, where does this programming come from? Why do most people follow a financial path that leads to stagnation and not realize it? The answer is brutal. You were trained to be obedient, not free. From childhood, the system has been carefully designed to shape the way you view money, work, and success. School does not teach financial intelligence. There are no classes on investing, asset building, or strategies to generate wealth. Instead, you learn to memorize formulas, obey rules, and follow orders. This is no coincidence. The educational model we use today was created during the Industrial Revolution to train workers, not entrepreneurs. Factory owners needed people who could read, write, and follow commands without question. And this model has never changed. Programming continues to be strong in adulthood. You enter the workforce and quickly realize that your freedom comes at a price. Your time no longer belongs to you, but to your employer. And here comes one of the greatest myths ever told: the idea that hard work leads to wealth. This is only half true. Hard work alone has never made anyone rich. If physical effort were the key to wealth, bricklayers and cleaners would be millionaires. But look around, who really accumulates fortunes? It's not those who work the hardest, but those who know how money works. Morgan Housel, in the book Psychology of Money, explains that the biggest financial mistake most people make is not a lack of income, but the way they view money. While the rich think long-term and create systems where money grows on its own, the poor and the middle class live in the short term, trapped in the cycle of consumption. Marketing and the media reinforce this mentality, selling the idea that happiness lies in buying the latest car, traveling to expensive destinations, or showing off designer clothes. But all of this is nothing more than a trap to keep them spending and in debt. The government also plays an important role in this game. Taxes, inflation, and high interest rates were created to ensure that the majority of the population remains dependent. If the system really wanted everyone to be rich, why isn't there financial education in schools? Why is the bureaucracy for starting a business so high while getting a loan is so easy? Simple. A financially educated population is not easily controlled. This mental programming of obedience and fear is what prevents most people from leaving the rat race. The idea of taking risks, starting a business, or investing sounds scary because we have been conditioned to seek security. But the truth that no one tells you is that the safest path is, in reality, the most dangerous. Those who follow the rules imposed by the system die without ever having experienced true financial freedom. But there is an alternative path. The concept of slavery has evolved. In the past, chains and whips were tools of control. Today, the new chains are debt, loans, and a lifestyle designed to keep you constantly chasing your own tail. Modern financial slavery is more sophisticated because it makes you believe you are free while you are completely trapped. And the worst part? You put the shackles on yourself. Stop and think. How many people do you know really have the freedom to decide how to live? I'm not just talking about money in the bank, but about time, about choices. Most people work from Monday to Friday, sell their time to pay bills, and at the end of the month, they have little or nothing left. Their salary barely makes it into the bank and has already been swallowed up by debts, rent, car payments, credit card interest. Is this freedom? Or is it just a modern version of servitude, where the whip has been replaced by the bill? The great illusion of the middle class is to believe that having a good job, a mortgage on a house, and a brand new car means success. But all of these are just well-disguised traps. Home loans lock you in for 30 years. New cars lose value the moment they leave the dealership. Credit cards give you a sense of power, but they really just make you a slave to interest. You don't own anything. The bank does. You're just renting a lifestyle for the price of your freedom. Businesses and governments know this. That's why the system encourages you to spend, not to accumulate wealth. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to get credit, but how hard it is to start a business? How it's affordable to buy an iPhone in 24 installments, but how difficult it is to understand investments? That's no coincidence. Those in control want you to keep consuming, never building. The more you spend, the more you work. The more you work, the less time you have to think about alternatives. What if I told you that most people will die without ever having tasted real freedom? Yes, because financial freedom isn't about making more money. It's about having the power to choose. The truly rich person is not the one who has a luxury car, but the one who can decide to never work again out of obligation. If the system is designed to keep you financially trapped, the only way out is to learn to think like the real players. And here's the brutal truth. The rich don't play the same game as you. They make the rules while you just follow. But that doesn't mean you're doomed. Quite the opposite. If you understand the rules, you can use them to your advantage. The first step to escaping financial slavery is to change the way you view money. Most people think of it as an end goal. They work to earn money and spend it to achieve immediate comfort. The rich do the opposite. They see money as a resource to build more money. They don't care about looking rich, but rather about being rich. See the difference in practice. An average worker gets a raise and immediately thinks about improving his standard of living, buying a new car, changing apartments, taking out more loans. He thinks he's moving up in life, but in reality, he's just tying himself even tighter to the system. An investor, on the other hand, takes that same increase and uses it to buy assets that generate more income. He doesn't want to appear rich now. He wants to ensure that in the future, he will never have to work for money again. Here's the biggest lesson of all. Money should work for you, not the other way around. This means building sources of income that keep generating money without you having to sell your time. This could be investing in rental properties, dividend-paying stocks, online businesses, or any other asset that multiplies your earnings without you being there. This is the real secret to wealth, the ability to make money while you sleep. But to do this, you need to overcome your greatest enemy, the fear of the unknown. Since you are little, you have been trained to avoid risks. You have been told that investing is dangerous, that entrepreneurship is difficult, that the best path is to have a stable job. But the truth is that there is no wealth without risk. The difference is that the rich learn to calculate risks, while most just avoid them. Robert Kiyosaki teaches that there are two types of financial fear: the fear of losing money and the fear of never being free. Most people live for the former, and that is why they remain poor. The rich live by the second, and that's why they take strategic risks. They know that, in the long run, the biggest risk of all is staying in the same place. If you want to escape the system, you need to start now. You don't need to have a lot of money to invest. You don't need to quit your job tomorrow. But you do need to change your mindset. Start small, study investments, create an extra income, eliminate expenses that only hold you back. The key to your freedom is not how much you earn, but how much you build. Now that you know the truth, you have only two choices: continue following the path the system has laid out for you, or finally take control of your financial life. Most people prefer the first option because it is easier. They spend their lives complaining about the lack of money, the economy, the government, but they never ask themselves if they are just following a script they have never questioned. But if you have come this far, it is because something inside you knows that you need to change. You no longer want to be a pawn, no longer want to work to make others rich while sacrificing your time and freedom. You want to be the player, the strategist, the one who builds wealth and dictates the rules of your own game.